Welcome. Thank you for joining us today for the third webinar in the Minnesota Safe Routes to School training series. This webinar covers special topics in Safe Routes to School planning, including equity, coalition building, and messaging around Safe Routes to School. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Gina.
And we will be your host for this session. This webinar series is sponsored by Minnesota Safe Routes to School to assist planners, engineers, school administrators, teachers, parents, and students throughout the state. For an introduction to Safe Routes to School, please refer to the Introduction to Safe Routes to School webinar in this series. For information about the planning process in Minnesota, refer to the Planning Guidance, Safe Routes to School in Minnesota in this series.
This special topics webinar goes into greater depth on 3 specific issues you may encounter when forming or growing your Safe Routes to School program. We'll start with a discussion of ways to consider equity and include all types of students and families when planning and implementing Safe Routes to School programs in Minnesota. Next, we'll talk about how to build a coalition of implementation partners, bringing school, district, city, and county agency staff, along with community-based organizations and others together to support your activities. Finally, we'll suggest how you can effectively communicate about the benefits of your Safe Routes to School program. At the end of the presentation, we'll share resources you can use to learn more about Safe Routes to School Minnesota or begin working on your plan. And we will provide contact information for any questions you may have.
When considering equity in Safe Routes to School, you have to recognize that not all students and communities have equal access to safe infrastructure or equal resources for staffing and managing programs. At the same time, students at low-income schools are 4 times more likely to walk to school than those at wealthier schools. When you're organizing a program or coordinating an event, you can identify potential challenges for specific community groups and seek ways to include these participants. All Safe Routes to School events and programs should be accessible to every student regardless of their income or physical ability.
While equity in Safe Routes to School is about distributing resources fairly, it's important to recognize that this doesn't mean that everyone gets exactly the same thing. This image uses the metaphor of giving people bicycles. The same bicycle won't fit the tall person and the shorter person, while the person in a wheelchair can't use it at all. The bottom image illustrates more equitable distribution of resources, which matches the resources to people's individual needs. Similarly, Safe Routes to School programs may need to provide more technical assistance and support for lower resource schools to enable them to provide similar services to their students.
It's important to provide all the materials in the languages spoken within your community. To overcome language barriers, hire bilingual staff or interpreters. Identify the languages spoken at the school and provide all Safe Routes to School materials in multiple languages. Partnering with local community organizations and hiring their staff to help with translation can help overcome language barriers. We recognize that this takes time and effort, but it's important for including all community members. Work with organizations where their work intersects with Safe Routes to School topics. For example, an after-school activity provider may not care specifically about reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but they do care about their children being able to safely get to their facility. Programs targeting at-risk youth may respond to messaging about how walking school buses promote attendance and improve academic achievement. Focus on how you can work together with partners to advance the shared goals.
You must consider the culture and demographics of your community and make conscious decisions to overcome potential cultural barriers. Based on what you learn about your community, consider the following questions and design your program accordingly. Is there discomfort around government? If so, some families may not feel comfortable attending events held at the school. Consider moving events to different locations throughout the community, not just at government buildings, such as places of worship, community events, cultural events, and other neighborhood gathering places. Are there distinct cultures at your school? How can they all be welcomed? You can purchase food for meetings and neighborhood establishments. Do the program staff have existing relationships with community organizations? If not, partnering with groups such as health organizations and school family advocates who have existing relationships with families can really help bridge the gap. What languages are spoken at your school? At events and meetings, provide translation services and childcare. Have event and meeting flyers, social media outreach, and other promotional materials translated into languages spoken in those communities. Does the project team reflect the community's ethnic demographics? Strive for a Safe Routes to School team that reflects the demographics of the school and district. Use youth as leaders in order to bridge the language and cultural gap between school and parents. Offer opportunities for parents and schools to interact at meetings and events.
Not all students own safe working bikes or the proper clothing and supplies for walking and biking to school, particularly during the winter. Make sure that all students have what they need to participate in Safe Routes to School activities, so no one feels left out. Provide bikes for students to use at bike rodeos and other school events by offering a bike fleet. School districts and schools can apply for bike fleet grants through the Minnesota Department of Transportation. Students may own their own bikes, but they may not have the proper accessories to ride safely. Provide free helmets, bike locks, and lights to students. An Earn a Bike program is a great way for students to volunteer in exchange for a bike. This can be structured in different ways, such as through a bike club where students learn bike maintenance and repair and get to keep the bike that they're working on. It's important to acknowledge that schools with lower income students tend to have less parent involvement and higher staff turnover than wealthier schools. So providing these schools with additional resources is important for a successful program. Lower resource schools also tend to have fewer advocates pushing for better infrastructure and fewer volunteers available to lead activities, such as walking school buses.
During a Safe Routes to School planning meeting on site at Farnsworth Middle School in St. Paul, one of the school team leaders showed consultant staff a collection of 25 bikes stored in the basement, in disrepair and gathering dust. Seeing these bikes as an opportunity for a low-income school to have access to bikes, the Safe Routes to School team assembled a group of volunteers from local businesses and the community to spend a day repairing the bikes. With help from a mechanic at a local bike shop and a donation from a local parts distributor, the group of volunteers successfully fixed up all 25 bikes. Farnsworth students now have a safe and functioning bike fleet available for group rides, gym class, and a take-home loan program.
Students of all ability levels should be able to participate in a Safe Routes to School program. Provide adaptive bikes for students with different abilities and include in-classroom safety instruction that all students can participate in. Promote ADA-compatible design and advocate for updates that allow for access for all ages and abilities.
Lower-income schools tend to be disproportionately impacted by traffic safety concerns. At these schools, engineering might be the most important of the E's. The Safe Routes to School team can coordinate with the city and county to ensure funding for Safe Routes to School supportive infrastructure near disadvantaged schools.
There are many great resources and programs that can help schools develop equitable, inclusive programs. This slide shows a list of some of the nationally recognized best practice resources.
Our next special topic in Safe Routes to School planning is coalition building.
A Safe Routes to School coalition may also be called a task force, working group, Safe Routes to School team, or nothing at all, depending on how formalized it is. The group can be focused specifically on Safe Routes to School, or it can be more generally about transportation safety, bicycle, and pedestrian planning. It can be more focused on one campaign or project, or it could be involved in multiple aspects of Safe Routes to School planning. And it can be organized with a school district, city, nonprofit, or other organizations. It could even be organized by an individual school. The group can meet monthly, bi-monthly, or quarterly, and it can vary widely in the level of commitment expected from the group. Regardless, meeting on a regular, fixed schedule is very important. A Safe Routes to School group brings together advocates and community members, as well as city and district staff and decision makers to identify and prioritize needs. Be sure to invite individuals from underserved groups, and invite high school students to be on the task force.
Getting the right people to participate may involve personalized invitations or calls. It is important to understand each organization's role in Safe Routes to School and why they would be interested in getting involved to encourage their participation. SHIP coordinators can help when organizing a coalition. Strive for a Safe Routes to School team to reflect the demographics of the district, school, and community.
The city is an important coalition member when working on Safe Routes to School projects in any community. The city may provide meeting space, IT support, printing services for Safe Routes to School related activities. It's important to define a liaison at the city to coordinate topics that impact city streets and to provide resources. Invite city engineers, public works staff, city planners, and in smaller communities, the mayor. The city can provide information and updates on transportation planning or projects that will impact school travel. The city can also use existing communication channels for messaging Safe Routes to School related topics and events. Some cities have outreach campaigns around school safety, driver awareness, bicyclist pedestrian visibility, and other related topics, which coordinate well with Safe Routes to School efforts.
Having the school district on board is critical in ensuring the success of a Safe Routes to School program. Work with as many district departments as possible, including teachers and school administration, with staff at individual schools who can support school-based Safe Routes to School activities, bike education, and can communicate the benefits of walking and biking. Facilities planning and management Have staff who can support installation and maintenance of bike racks and physical improvements to school sites to improve walk and bike access and safety for students. Culinary and wellness staff can integrate bike and walk programming with before and after school meal programs such as grab-and-go breakfast and after-school snacks. Transportation staff can include walk and bike safety and bus safety education week. Transportation can also include information about walking routes on postcards with school bus transportation information. Transportation staff can also inform parents about the benefits of choosing a neighborhood school. The enforcement department, such as school resource officers, can play a role in encouraging and enforcing safe driving, walking, and bicycling around schools, and participating in larger Safe Routes to School education and encouragement initiatives. Safety and security staff can support safe arrival and dismissal practices to support Safe Routes to School. Staff can also work to address security problems at school bike racks by improving security camera alignment and educating students and staff about how to lock bikes securely.
Having an engaged team is crucial to the success of a Safe Routes to School plan moving forward. The plans must be created and championed by a team who will move the work forward. Engaging stakeholders in a meaningful way is essential to successful planning.
Minnesota Department of Transportation's Engaging Stakeholders in the Safe Routes to School planning process provides more information on team and coalition building and is available on the Minnesota Safe Routes to School Resource Center website.
Our final special topic today is how to communicate and message Safe Routes to School related information.
Agencies, staff, teachers, and parents will respond better to different kinds of messaging. The goals of Safe Routes to School communications is ultimately to increase participation in Safe Routes to School and walking and biking to and from school, engage new community members in schools, and promote events and activities. Minnesota Department of Transportation has created a 2-page handout that includes talking points for law enforcement, parents, planners and engineers, public health staff, service organizations, educators, and elected officials. This handout is available on the Minnesota Safe Routes to School Resource Center website.
The school district and school staff may be interested in some of the key goals of Safe Routes to School programs, such as student safety and promoting active transportation, but they are primarily responsible for delivering curriculum based on state standards and district expectations. Messaging should focus on how Safe Routes to School activities help administrators and teachers accomplish their existing goals, rather than layering on additional activities. School districts may communicate with administrators and teachers through teacher orientation or back-to-school trainings, and through promotion of Safe Routes to School events and activities. So districts are an important team member throughout the Safe Routes process.
When communicating with school districts and school staff, it is important to make clear, direct, and time-bound requests. For example, ask school administrators to collect parent surveys by a certain date, or make specific announcements prior to an event. It is also important to explain the need for requests, such as asking school staff to conduct a hand tally in order to track the program's success and to comply with funding requirements. If staff understand why you need them to work with you, they are more likely to respond to the request. Be sure to work with the appropriate representative. For example, confirm all outreach approaches with district communications staff or individual school staff, discuss infrastructure improvements with facility staff, and coordinate with curriculum staff to integrate Safe Routes to School-oriented lessons into math, science, humanities, or other subjects.
Messaging to school district staff and teachers should emphasize how Safe Routes to Schools can help the school achieve state standards or other state or district requirements. It's also helpful to highlight the academic benefits of the program, such as students who get exercise before school arrive at class ready to learn, and walking groups can decrease absenteeism. It may be helpful to acknowledge the role of non-traditional Safe Routes to School activities in building school and community support. For example, tree planting, community gardens, neighborhood cleanup activities, community art, and other events or causes that community members organize around. These events help to beautify the neighborhood around schools and can deter crime. A very important message to share with school staff and community partners is the importance of school and community engagement to win funding for Safe Routes to School programs and infrastructure. Funding for Safe Routes to School is limited, and programs with strong school and community support are more likely to receive funding.
Highlighting the academic benefits of Safe Routes to School is a great way to communicate the program to teachers and school district staff. A great example is from Fridley Middle School in St. Paul. In 2017, as part of the Minnesota Department of Transportation Planning Assistance Grant, consultant staff visited with an 8th grade geometry class at Fridley Middle School to teach students about Safe Routes to School while enlisting their help and thinking about how street design can affect safety. Students used the intersection of 61st Avenue and Moore Lake Drive to travel between two campuses. Each day during arrival and dismissal, hundreds of students cross the street. Because of its proximity to school, the intersection also sees high vehicle volumes and is controlled by a stop sign and a crossing guard, not a signal. School buses also exit the parking lot at this intersection. To make the crossing safer and more comfortable, consultants recommended curb extensions to reduce the crossing distance. Consultants met with an advanced geometry class at the middle school and taught them about the importance of short crossing distances and smaller corner radii. They provided students with a school bus turning diagram, overhead maps, and asked them to determine the largest possible curb extension that would still allow for a safe turning movement for buses exiting the parking lot. The students had fun working through the exercise, learned something about the importance of walking and biking to school, and were exposed to new professions.
Parents and caregivers are generally responsible for deciding how a child gets to school. To get parents interested and excited about their child walking or biking to school, it's important to tailor the messaging toward parents using communication channels that will reach them. It's important to address parents' concerns about transportation safety while celebrating the benefits of using active modes of transportation to encourage parents and caregivers to participate and get involved in safe routes to school activities. Use positive messaging and discuss the many benefits rather than focusing on safety concerns or using negative or scary messaging. Materials such as brochures and posters should be provided in multiple languages. Provide printed copies of materials for families who do not have access to a computer or internet at home.
There are many ways to reach parents and caregivers, including articles in school newsletters and e-news provided in multiple languages, media and press releases distributed through local news agencies on district social media and other messaging channels, information posted on a school website in multiple languages, a letter from school principals encouraging parents to create transportation habits, a brochure or flyer with information about the Safe Routes to School program, a website or blog to promote activities and events to both parents and students. Students can take turns posting articles about upcoming or recent events or about the benefits of exercise and active transportation. School choice materials can list walking and biking as a benefit of sending a child to a neighborhood school. Recruit families who already walk or bike with their child to school to be ambassadors and encourage other families to try active transportation. Lastly, reach out to community groups and local religious organizations to connect with families who may not have access to a computer or who may not feel comfortable visiting their child's school.
Parents are less likely to change their child's transportation behaviors based on negative messaging. Focus on the positive aspects. Focus on the educational and health benefits of walking and biking. Parents are less likely to be swayed by environmental benefits.
For more information and resources, see the Minnesota Safe Routes to School Resource Center at www.mnsaferoutestoschool.org. The Minnesota Department of Transportation maintains the Resource Center, which has resources about funding, planning, and implementing safe routes to schools, as well as details about grant opportunities in Minnesota. You can also use the website to find out about upcoming events such as Bike to School Day and download materials to host your own walking school bus, bike rodeo, and more. This resource can provide inspiration, information, and implementation support for your local Safe Routes to School efforts.
Finally, contact Dave Cowan, Minnesota Department of Transportation's Safe Routes to School Coordinator, with any questions related to funding, planning, implementation, or any other resources related to Safe Routes to School. This brings us to the end of our webinar number 3. Thank you for your time and attention, and please visit us again for additional resources. Goodbye.